Basketball.
It's time to strap in and get ready. The Insight NBA team is in the arena, bringing you the ultimate play-by-play on who's hot and who's not to help you win your leagues and dominate your mates. You're now hooping with your hosts, Matty G, Skitty, and Mally for the Insight NBA show.
G'day everyone, and welcome to the Insight NBA show. I'm your host, Matty G, taking you through week 10 or week 9, depending if you're on ESPN and Fantrax. We are talking week 10. If you are in Yahoo leagues, it is week 9 because of the double weeks that we've had with the NBA Cup. So let's break it down for you. Whether it's 10 or whether it's week 9, let's have a look at it. We do have a game off, obviously, this week as well. This is now the third week in a row that we have had a bye day. We call it buys in Australia. I don't know if they do that in America. It's called buys. We have buys. It's a bye day again on Christmas Eve, obviously, with the big NBA scheduled Christmas Day games. Let's take a look at it. Let's have a look through the waiver wire and the injury updates across all of the teams so we know what we're going to do before we break down the schedule for the week ahead. Yeah, let's head over to Atlanta. Let's start it off from A to Z. Not that there's any teams with Z yet, but on Saturday, Trae Young was out with a head contusion for the Atlanta Hawks. Okongwu is out still for a few more games. Probably maybe towards the end of the week, we can see Nneka Okongwu. They do have 4 games this week, so we could probably count on the first 2 for the Omelette not to be playing, and Bufkin is out for the rest of the season. In Boston, Hauser missed out on Saturday's game with back spasms. He has been in and out of the lineup. We watch him as it happens. In Brooklyn, now we've had Dorian Finney-Smith out for a little bit. Cam Thomas is still on the sidelines as well, but we are expecting maybe an update on Cam Thomas to be back later this week for the Brooklyn Nets. In Charlotte, Mark Williams and LaMelo Ball, they both have missed one of the games on the back-to-back sets. Mark Williams still ramping up. He had 19 minutes there in his return, which means we're probably going to be seeing more in the 20s of Mark Williams this week for the Charlotte Hornets. Trey Mann is also going to be out this week as well with his sore back, but we could look to possibly add Trey Mann into an IL spot or put him into our lineups for week 11 or week 12, especially in dynasty leagues. If Trey Mann is on your wire and you do have an IL spot, if we can add him in there, it might be a long-term play. Chicago, now Giddey has been out with that sprained ankle injury. It was the same one for the Olympics. We look to get updates on him in between. And also Torrey Craig has had a pretty injury-riddled season. He's out with Achilles tendinopathy currently as well. Now, Matty Strus didn't play due in the injury return. He's coming back on his back-to-back sets. So we do have a little bit of a chat about the Cavs later on and the schedule, and we break down the schedule. So let's just watch his Strus in our sidelines. Now, Luka, here's the big one for the Dallas Mavericks. He has missed the last 2 games with a heel contusion. Kyrie set out one of those 2 recent games. The Mavs, they factor in this week 10, week 9. We'll talk about those in the schedule breakdown soon. Look, and Jaden Hardy has missed the last 5 with his sprained ankle as well. In Denver, Saric is doubtful for Sunday. We're going to get an update. I'm recording this from country Victoria, the borderlands of New South Wales and Victoria currently. Looking for today's updates. There's been no update now if he's in or out, but Dario Saric is doubtful for the Nuggets, and DeAndre Jordan will continue to get those backup minutes solely right there for Najee Marshall a little bit. Zeke Najee a little bit for the Denver Nuggets. In Detroit, Isaiah Stewart's missed the last couple with a hyperextended knee. We can look for him to return later on this week, most possibly. Whereas Golden State, Draymond Green didn't play because of his shithouse 0-0-0-0 performance the other day, and was just no, he didn't. He missed it because of ankle soreness or a sore ego. Who knows? Moses Moody has also been out for the last little bit. I think it's the last 4 or 5 games he has been out as well. Going down to Houston, Tyra Easton is not going to play on Sunday on the first leg of a back-to-back, so we could look to add him maybe into the lineups if we're really desperate. For some reason, on Monday, and we'll talk about it, there's 14 games. So that's a whole different kettle of fish. 28 teams. I would be surprised. I would love to hear if there's a manager out there who actually randomly has a spot open in their lineup. I don't think it's possible, but it could be. Hey, look, there's some good news. We don't have any injury updates for 3 teams. The Pacers, the Clippers, and the Lakers are all good. How can you not mention Kawhi Leonard? Well, we will in the next part of the show where we do the schedule and talk about his possible return this week wherever you are. Ja Morant didn't play Saturday due to back soreness. We've had Jay Huff, he's missed the last couple with a sprained ankle, and Vince Williams, he's progressed. Now, he could be back in the next probably month. So they say 3 to 6 weeks. So let's not look to make any rash decisions with him. Obviously, he came back from injury. He's out again. We're going to look to probably in the next 3 weeks, month, add him if we can get him as a bit of a stash. Now, Jimmy Butler had a stomach bug, gastro. It's the worst. Am I right? Jimmy Butler missed that on Saturday. He could be back in, obviously, for this week. And Kevin Love missed Saturday's game due to personal reasons for the Miami Heat, who do have a good schedule coming into the week ahead. Now, Giannis Antetokounmpo didn't play Saturday with the Wizards due to back spasms or the fact that they are the Washington Wizards, and he just wasn't really needed. And also, Damian Lillard, he's missed the last couple of games after the cup with a calf strain. So let's watch our eyes on the Milwaukee Bucks superstars coming into weeks 9 and for week 10. Ripping around to like the Minnesota, don't really have to worry about Luka Garza, not fantasy relevant, but in New Orleans, Williamson, Ingram, and Alvarado, they are all still out on the sidelines, with Alvarado nearing a return before the other two at all. We could probably expect to look for Zion's return in week, I guess we're going to do this every time now, week 11/week 10, whichever system you're playing in for this one. And Daniel Tice has missed the last couple of games as well with personal reasons for the New Orleans Pelicans. All smooth sailing in New York and in Oklahoma City, where in Orlando, Jalen Suggs missed Saturday's game with a sprained ankle. He's been coming back from the injury, whereas we've also had Mo Wagner. Now, he left that game with a knee injury. We're going to undergo further evaluation on Mo Wagner, because he's a viable streaming option if all cleared later this week, and we'll talk about that really soon. Joel Embiid stayed out Saturday's game of the second of the back-to-back. He came back early. We were expecting him out all week last week with that sinus fracture, but he's come back in, and he'll be probably just watching the back-to-back sets, as we know Joel Embiid is to do. Now, this was an interesting one in Phoenix. Devin Booker, that groin strain. Now, he's been ruled out instantly for the next 2 games. So he's also going to be ruled out on Monday. And Grayson Allen left Saturday's game. He had a bit of a head knock. So we're just monitoring that concussion protocol on Grayson Allen. It is the day we're probably going to get update some point today on that one. And I'm looking for some ads around that one. We've got done, and I'm going to talk about Royce O'Neal later in the pod as well. Paul and Danella Banton missed Saturday's game with a hip contusion, whereas Sacramento and San Antonio over there. Toronto now, Davion Mitchell did get cleared. He was questionable to start today or to play. He is in versus the Rockets with that shoulder injury. And Jakob Poeltl, he's going to miss another one with his groin as well. Now, Emmanuel Quickly, this is the big one. He is participating in non-contact practice. So he's coming close to that return. I don't expect Emmanuel Quickly to play at all in week 10 or 9. I could say this will be the week that he's out, and then he'll be coming back in week 11. Back-to-backs, minutes, ramping up to game fitness, that's all to be seen. And we can probably track that next week, but I do expect him to possibly return in week 11/week 10. I'm going to get really sick of that week 11/10 business right there. Now, Bruce Brown, he is nearing a return as well. He's probably the first one in the Toronto Raptors to make that before Emmanuel Quickly does. And in Keontae George, he didn't play with a sprained ankle, and he is remaining out as well for the Jazz next game, apparently. In Washington, Kyle Kuzma is out with his rib injury and possibly could make a return later in this week. We're looking for updates for the Washington Wizards. Not that we need to really follow them too closely whatsoever at all. That's pretty much that in the books at all. But what's not in the books is Christmas, and it's probably too late to get it now. It's probably too late. You missed your window, but you can never miss the window of taking advantage of a good discount thanks to our sponsors, the Standard Squeeze. Their promo code is IFS15 for all things Insight. They've got the greatest travel. I traveled down here with the 401. The missus, she traveled down here with the 401. We're sipping from our cuppies. That's great, and keep the cooler, your stubbies warm over winter. Keep your stubbies cool over summer, and it can keep your coffee hot during winter. It is all year round goodness. Check out them. They are linked in our code down below. It is our good friends at Standard Squeeze for all your apparel and your travelers, your campers. If you're going away on a summer camp, we've got holidays for the next couple of weeks here in Australia. Get it ASAP. Get it boxed up. Get your 4-in-1 Premier and your Standard Squeeze, the original pourer. Put the alcohol in one part. It's the perfect cup every single time. Make sure you get onto them and check out that code as well. Now it is time to break down our weekly preview here on Insight.
He's heating up.
Yeah, look, it is a tough one again. We can all cry and weep and moan because Tuesday there are no games because we do have our special Christmas Day games. There are 5 of them on Wednesday. We do start off the week Monday with an absolute bumper slate, 14 games. That is a big one. That means you probably won't have any spots. So we go from 14 to 0 with the night off on Christmas Eve. 5 games on Wednesday, 9 games Thursday, 8 games on Friday, 9 games Saturday, and 6 games on Sunday. The orange, it's a little bit hard. You're going to see your teams and where you're going to aim, but you can obviously always aim for the greens on the Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. Now, we kind of give it the caveat 9, 10. If you've got a couple of teams there with you've got a 10-player roster, for example, and you've got 2 players on your roster that play for the same team, if you've got 2 sets of that, 4 slots automatically taken, and it's probably a little bit harder. That's why they get the orange slot. Not that everyone's stacking deep and having 2 or 3 guys from many teams, but maybe you do, especially if you've got your homer picks. So we can really look to hammer in these back-to-back sets if there are any on Wednesday, Thursday. There's going to be some bad news about that very, very soon, but we do have streaming ability right throughout the course of the week. The big break here is that the Monday, it's probably you're looking at drops. So because you're probably going to be dropping off your worst player at the car park, it's probably an ideal time to pick up someone in advance for the schedule later in the week. Now, this is something that people say, oh, do I do that? Well, yeah, you do. If you're not going to be playing your worst player on the Monday, get them out of your lineup now. If you still have an ad to use on your current week while you're listening to that one, have a look and use it now. So you can save your ads for later in week 10. If you've got 4 or 5 ads, they're completely free if you still do that if you have one remaining in your current week. Get ahead of your ads by targeting what's coming after. You've got 14 games, not doing anything. A day off, not doing anything. Hit it then hard on your Wednesday and Thursday. Let's break down the teams with the 4 games and 3 games and 2 games this week because no team plays only 1 game. We've got the Hawks, the Celtics, the Nets, the Mavs, the Nuggets, the Warriors, the Rockets, the Pacers, the Grizzlies, and the Heat all playing 4 games. This also goes for the Timberwolves, the Knicks, the Thunder, the Magic, the Phoenix Suns, and the San Antonio Spurs. So we can all get 4 games out of 6 days with these teams, which is a really great for ad. But again, a lot of them play on the Monday, which makes that schedule hard to jam somebody into. So we don't have to attack that necessarily, but knowing that they have 3 games afterward is also really valuable. Now, the teams that only do have 3 games this week as well are the Hornets, the Bulls, the Pistons, the Lakers, Bucks, 76ers, Trailblazers, Raptors, Jazz, and the Wizards. And there are only 4 teams that play 2 games this week. That is the Cleveland Cavaliers, the Clippers, the Pelicans, and the Kings. So this is where that makes it a little bit hard for these guys to get any really streaming value. Now, we can talk about this one, but it's also because they've only got 2 games. If you've got some fringe guys from like your Chris Duns or your Kevin Porter Jr.'s in these kind of teams, in your Pelicans, maybe you're dropping off maybe your Javonte Green that you picked up last week. Maybe it's your Karis LeVert, your Ty Jerome. Maybe you're dropping these off. You definitely got George's name. Niang. You're getting him out of your lineup to free up that spot early because they only play 2 games for a lot of these teams here. So we're looking where we can get that value out. Also goes for the Sacramento Kings. Maybe you streamed Keon Ellis last week and Kevin Huerter. You can get them out of your lineup. Trey Lyles, if you added him at the end of your week, get him out of your lineup. Those are the guys you kind of move off today instantly to free up time for who you've got coming ahead. So we're going to have a bit of a look at how we can play it this week. So look, quality games. Let's talk about this cram day, but let's just talk about some interesting schedule notes for these guys as well. And also talking about where our back-to-backs are going to come into play because there are absolutely no back-to-backs now to first start off the week. I've got some very bad news for you. There are no back-to-backs on Monday and Tuesday. Obviously, there's none on Tuesday and Wednesday because we have no games on Tuesday. But then this is the interesting one. Even with the next set of games there, we don't have any back-to-backs on Wednesday and Thursday to take advantage of. So this is why when we said earlier, you can absolutely target in that Wednesday on that 5-gamer to get the most out of your lineups on the day. So we can add it separately. Now on these ones, how we can attack is just look to what our needs are. Look, where do we start off on the Monday? You're probably playing against an opponent who has an equally full lineup. Let's fill the cup and see where we're strong. See what comes after the Monday. Know in your head where your strengths are. Look at what they've been strong in this week. See who your opponent is. Oh, they're really good with assists. Okay. Oh, they're not really great with rebounds, blocks, and field goal percentage. Okay, I'm going to buoy that. Oh, we're pretty good on points, so I'm probably going to need to add some points. Have a bit of a deep dive into your opponent for next week, and who can you pick up off the wire to get that. Is it close on assists? Might that be a fringe category? Maybe their best assist guy is someone like a Darius Garland who's only got 2 games. And maybe you've got Tyrese Halliburton and they're flying. So you're going to be able to get those assists back. And also Halliburton, high on the assist one. Maybe you're a guy who's got Trae Young in your lineup and you're looking really good for 40 assists off the rip straight away. So just have a look about what you're going to be building in really strong. And that's where you can target those ads for your Wednesday. We do then roll into some back-to-backs following that up. We do have back-to-backs on Thursday and Friday. That's the Nets, the Rockets, the Pacers, the Grizzlies, the Pelicans, and the Magic. They all play back-to-back games on the Thursday and Friday. That moves into our Friday, Saturday back-to-backs with the Mavericks, the Nuggets, the Warriors, the Knicks, and the Phoenix Suns. Saturday and Sunday, we are looking at the Hawks, the Heat, and the Kings. To finish off the week, we could talk about the back-to-back sets that we always like to start strong and finish. And guess what? There is bad news again this week. There are no Sunday, Monday back-to-backs. Now, that's good and that's bad. It's always a two-folder when we're talking about this kind of thing. Why? Because the Sunday allows us to strategically bring in someone to cap off the week really well and start the week strong on the following Monday. That's really great. You get one ad in the current week. It's an ad there. You fill your cup for the next week. And it's great. This week, we can't do that, which is also good because we can strategically make sure that we can get our win by dropping whoever we need to, especially if we look at the schedule there. We do have a really good volume Saturday, 9, a lot of slots, but Sunday is low volume. There's going to be a few guys out on the wire we can attack and bring that in. And because we've got that Saturday, Sunday back-to-back set, we could probably look to bring in somebody from the Hawks, the Heat, or the Kings on the back end of that. So this is where guys like Trey Lyles, Kevin Huerter, and Keon Ellis that we're off earlier, we can look to aim them earlier. Guys from the Heat, Homie Hackers Jr., Drew Smith. These guys could be ads for that Saturday, Sunday back-to-back if we're chasing these ones up. We know in the Miami Heat, Haywood Highsmith has been someone we can get. Okongwu could possibly be back. Maybe he was dropped off there. If not, if he's going to remain out for this week, deeper guys like Larry Nance Jr. come and play. Had a great game this week, then a crap one. So this is where we're looking for that. Otherwise, we're definitely looking to get this Friday and Saturday back-to-back set. The Mavs, the Nuggets, the Warriors, Knicks, and Suns all give us a really good opportunity this week to get games out of one ad. And we're going to go into some of those guys later because I really like this as a strategy this week to target these Friday and Saturday 8 and 9 slots, because this way we can bring someone in, get 2 games off. We could bring 2 ads, 4 games, really good, really strong strategy. And then Sunday, what do we need left? Well, okay, I've used 2 of my ads, maybe one earlier in the week. I've got 1 left or 2 left, 4 or 5 ads, depending on most leagues. If I can target these days after my strong start to the week, knowing that there are some limited back-to-backs and during the first course, I could really make sure that I can lock in my win and outdo my opponent on that final day. So I'm looking to bring some of these guys in. Therefore, some of the guys that I'm looking for to make it, and I've got some interesting schedule notes as well to factor into this decisions. Orlando are playing all of their games at home this week, whereas Detroit, they are playing all of their games away. It's really interesting for the Dallas Mavericks. Now, this is one for those who Luka has been out. They play Portland twice. Now, they're playing the Trailblazers twice. And if they've been resting their stars, this could be one where their guards and their depth there, like Spencer Dinwiddie, pop off. So we could look to be bringing in a Spencer Dinwiddie and also Quentin Grimes, who's made my list of targets for the week as well. So this is where we want to keep those injury updates. We want to be watching what is the updates when Dallas plays the Trailblazers. I mean, I know that I'm watching that very, very closely. Indiana plays Boston twice. I've got down that one, and the New Orleans Pelicans, they're in for a bit of a tough week as well. Now, Indiana plays Boston twice. That's going to be a bit of a harder game. So those fringe guys, even like the likes of Obi Toppin, could take a bit of a hit in here. Nembhard plays really well against them, so maybe Andrew Nembhard is on your list. And those other guys, Thomas Bryant, we wouldn't expect to play as many minutes as coming into the lineup here. So those fringy guys, probably not the strong value that they usually would be for the Indiana Pacers. But we could also look here as well. We need to know that we do have that tough game schedule for the New Orleans Pelicans. Guys here who obviously play very, very well are guys like Trey Murphy, and they're going to go into their stars. So we're probably not looking to target those fringe guys around this week, around the Pelicans, just because they've got a tough schedule, and that's going to really hurt them. So when we've got a tough schedule and our opponents, we're probably looking to steer away from adding those guys and stick to some of the guys that are there on their home schedule and on their home track. Making my list of targets with that factored in for this week. Now, I mentioned Mo Wagner earlier on, waiting for his update on that knee injury there. We're also looking for Cole Anthony and Black in Orlando. These guys have been playing really well off their bench and could be really good stream targets. Santi Aldama and Luke Kennard fit into that mold for the Memphis Grizzlies later on in this week, as well as maybe we can get some Jake LaRavia action in there as well. Real like a Miles McBride for that Friday and Saturday streaming and lots of points, threes, some peripheral assists, and some steals if we can get them out of there. We're also looking for Grayson Allen and Royce O'Neal. Grayson Allen is also, again, tied to that head knock. Is he going to be out on the concussion protocol? If not, great. He might be an option, especially if Booker does miss more time. We knew that the next 2 games were out. Maybe they extend that through the course of this week. We will find out an update on that during the early phase of this week, because when they rule him out for 2 in advance and then a reevaluation, I think they're pretty switched on in Phoenix to give us that update, because that came pretty clearly, and that's really good for us there in fantasy. And I've always liked Royce O'Neal as a stream option for these guys this year. He plays really well when asked to step up. And Quentin Grimes in Dallas has been playing really well and did step up with the absence of Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving recently. I could expect him to take a bit of a bigger role later in the week as well. So again, looking to add these guys. If we're looking for more guys as well, like the Nuggets, we could probably get a little bit of frisky action on someone like a Russell Westbrook. And with those Warriors back-to-back ads, look, Dennis Schroeder's he was flying high in fantasy, and I've seen him dropped in some leagues after he hit the first games with the Warriors. So maybe he's out there. Maybe Buddy Hield, Pods, not so much. Looney or Trace Jackson Davis could be on your waiver wire, and these are some also guys we could attack for that Friday and Saturday back-to-back. For me, that's where I'm really looking to get a bit of an edge on my opponent for this coming week, just to see what I can do in advance and make those moves as they come out. Guys, I hope you have an absolutely wicked week. Don't forget about our Patreon. Make sure you lock it in there for all of your action and our updates. This is the info.
Want to take your fantasy sports game to the next level? Insight Fantasy Sports are bringing you exclusive content all year round, such as preseason draft guides, player rankings, waiver wire advice, statistical deep dives, priority podcast questions, and tons more. So what are you waiting for? Get full access to the experts. Go to patreon.com/Insight Fantasy Sports and subscribe to Insight Unlimited today.
Indeed, you should, and you should like and subscribe to all things Inside Fantasy Sports. Hit the bell down below for all of your content. NBL is in full swing. BBL, the Big Bash League, is on here in Australia. If you like your cricket, we love our sport. We love your patronage and all of the good things, and we're wishing you a very, very happy holidays. Like, subscribe. I'm Matty G. We'll see you soon, guys. Take care.